And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Giangelo's here on 224 in Boardman. It is the South Range Raider Coaches Show, and this guy next to me, you may know. He's kind of a big deal. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for the head football coach of the South Range Raiders, David Rach. There's that burgundy and gold carpet laid out for you, pal.
There you go, yeah.
Dude, I got to start. Everybody's been talking about everything that South Range has lost, and there's just we might as well go out there and put up the white flags on the boats. Nobody has any belief. And I talked to Donnie earlier about it. I was raised that you don't throw rocks at a tank, and I feel like that's kind of what's happening right now. Do you even hear some of those things or read some of those things that are being said about this year's team and this year's expectations, and we might as well just give it to somebody else for a conference and a regional and potentially a state championship?
I don't read much of it. I'm sure I'm aware of it.
He can read. Let's correct that. He can read.
Fine. Yeah. I won't say well, but I can read. No, I try to stay off of most of that stuff. It's brought to my attention, from time to time, and we have internal discussions as a football family just about some of the narratives out there and how that stuff is out of our control. So we're trying to focus right now on the things that we can control. And like I said, the outside noise doesn't bother us. I think we have a group that's confident and is working really hard and is aware that what we do between now and week one is going to determine a lot of our success moving forward. I
got to admit, you've thrown some different sayings. You and Andy Hake alike have thrown some different sayings into my lexicon that I've used. Some of them I've used. Other ones I just keep just in case for a rainy day. One of them, we'll see him there. I think that's my favorite one that you always use. Just tell him we'll see him there.
Yeah.
For you, do you use that stuff as motivation? Not particularly for the guys or even for your coaching staff. Maybe you do. But do you use it as motivation for you to get better, or is it just something that you literally just let roll off the shoulder?
I think it's kind of twofold. Again, number one, we're trying to focus on just the things that we can control. At the same time, I think playing with a chip on your shoulder or having some kind of external, motivation probably does play a role, to some degree. And I think I want the culture of our football program and the mindset of our football program to be that we'll play anybody, anywhere, anytime, and feel like we're going to put our best foot forward and have a good chance to compete, And as long as we're doing that and playing fast and free, then, we'll take our chances.
There's a lot of football that's been played over the last 9 years of this program under you and under Coach Yeagley. Do you ever wonder do you ever add up how many seasons extra that you guys, or games extra that you guys have played over that particular time period? And my question is, how does that make you better? How do those extra games make you better in times like this where you got some of those younger guys in so they can be ready for the bright lights of a Friday night?
Yeah, we just addressed it the other day as a team. We had a practice that I was probably less than thrilled with. And I went in and I just kind of said, listen, I know we were playing some young guys, but just because we're a sophomore or a junior, whatever it might be, those guys have to play like they're a year older because they've had an extra 6 weeks or 15 weeks. In the seniors class, they've played 46 football games already. There's a lot of programs that a senior will graduate without ever playing that, and our guys still have a whole year ahead of them. So I think just trying to help them to understand, listen, we can be more confident. You guys have played in a lot of big moments and critical football games, and I think, moving forward, that should be an advantage for you year after year.
After the state championship a few years ago, you lose 20 players. Everybody counted you out. You come back, a successful season, names just coming out of the woodwork, and we're able to build legacies and still building those legacies to this day. Then kind of the same thing happens. You guys have a nice run last year. You graduate 20 seniors. You have 8 seniors this year. There's going to be a lot of expectations on the underclassmen to step up into those positions and to grow up very quickly. But we saw bits and pieces in moments last year. But these seniors have something that they want to prove as well.
Yeah, for sure. I actually addressed the team after our first scrimmage, and I told them I was really proud of how the seniors, prepared and how they played in that scrimmage. We obviously didn't spend a lot of time preparing for it as far as film and stuff, but I still thought that the seniors showed, a lot of leadership, and they looked the most confident of all of our guys. You talked about last year a lot of the pieces that were making plays, but those younger groups, those guys are players that have had success in everything they've done. They've been outstanding in basketball and in football and in baseball, and they're great track. Those guys have had success. And in big moments too. It's been regional or national success for them. So I don't worry about them as far as being in big moments and how they're going to perform. I know what we're going to get with them. the challenge that we're dealing with right now is just trying to make sure that they're confident, and I want them to make sure that they realize that, hey, I've been winning my whole life. It's probably a bad time to start losing. And I think we're making some progress in that respect.
There's a new jersey in the locker room. You guys are looking a little bit different this year, looking like Alabama kind of
ish.
The new burgundy jerseys will be on full display next Friday night, so we're excited to see that. But there's kind of a new era, I feel like, of South Range football. Have we turned the page? We're keeping some of the traditions, obviously, but there's a little bit of a swagger that I like seeing. Not necessarily in the talking phase, but in the walking phase of, okay, you guys keep talking, and we'll make sure we back it up each and every Friday night.
Yeah, I tried to keep as much the same as possible. If I could have ordered the same,
I didn't know that it was
would.
feasible to make it more plain than what Dan Yeagley did with a jersey, and you somehow made it happen. Congratulations to you.
We tried to lean into that, I think, and I thought I actually got some input from some of our kids that have graduated and some of the young kids that are coming up, and we tried to make them as plain as possible, and just tried to say, hey, we're we'll eat off the floor. Like, we're a gritty football team that doesn't really care about that kind of stuff, and we still no single digits, and still no names on the back, and still no decals on the helmet, and I think our guys lean into that and appreciate that part of the program and the culture that says, it's about the team.
What do you want people to know about this team without giving too much away of when you strip everything down, your expectations versus their expectations versus what you're going to see on a Friday night?
Well, I would want people to be able to realize just how much growth they've had up to this point. I think sometimes we get so lost in thinking about, hey, what's going to happen in week one or week two, whatever. Those guys have worked their tails off. And it started, immediately after last season. They've been in the weight room at 6 a.m., the entire off season, and have been overly committed. They've done everything that we've asked of them to do. And in a lot of cases, it's been what's allowed, young guys to put themselves in a position to play varsity football. And I think they realized that they were going to be called upon, and they've done just a tremendous job of preparing themselves the right way and getting ready for the season. And I really think that it's a group that's going to be, without saying too much about it, I think it's a group that's going to be really exciting to watch. I think they'll put some butts in the stands.
I knew it was football season when I'm at Tony Foster's on Saturday night and I get a text from Nico Mancuso asking for the Poland tape from YSN. I was like, we're here. It's football season. So Nico on a Saturday night at 8:30 is watching the Poland game, which, like many of us, obviously. For you, what marks football season?
Yeah, same thing. I would say we were actually talking the other day, I think, there's a certain part, late in the summer where it starts to smell like football season. But for us, once July comes rolling around, once the 4th of July is come to pass, it really feels real, and you feel like you're just counting down days. And, it's funny because it's the busiest time of year, but it happens so fast, for us in July and August, where it's like every day it's all you're thinking about, and, trying to find ways that you can improve as fast as possible. It's like the shortest 2 months of the year for us because it feels like you're constantly, up against it with the clock and trying to cover all your bases.
Naturally, we're going to meet a lot of the Raiders throughout the year right here at Giangelo's. Thank you again to Lynn and Frank who make this possible.
Yeah, thank you.
Who are some of the names that we're going to know right off the bat, that we're going to recognize because they're going to establish themselves on a Friday night? Maybe, because I saw a lot of lineman numbers out there, so maybe some of the guys that we won't hear. Who are the guys that you're going to lean on for this to be a successful season?
Yeah, for us, it's going to start up front. That's where all of our seniors are at. We have a wideout in corner, Frank Slana. That's the lone skill player in the senior group. And then the other ones, they're all playing up front, so you go with Don Bailey and Kellen Pitzer, Cody Ewert, Jose, Chase Eustace is over there. There's a big group of those guys up front that are doing, I think, a really good job for us. Adam Albar, our lone returning starter on offense. Again, those guys have kind of just quietly led and done everything we've asked of them. The skill positions, it's funny, it's a young group, but it's a bunch of names you're going to be familiar with. It starts with Nick at quarterback and obviously the toy name, and I think everyone that's watched Nick growing up has kind of known, what you have with him. I think he's had a terrific, July and August and has really grown a ton. It doesn't look like a sophomore, at quarterback, which has been exciting. Multiple running backs for us. There's a Valentine in there and a Starkey in there.
Oh,
and,
boy.
Jimmy Hagan, those guys. And then obviously Tommy Titus. Everybody knows who he is.
Who?
Yeah, right. Gavin Hiscock's out there on
New
the
number
outside.
for Titus, by the way.
Yeah,
right.
he went to the double ones. Yeah.
Which is a tradition in South Range.
Yeah, and a lot of those. I mean, Colin Kay, another young guy that's been playing wide out for us, and then the tight ends, with James and Guido.
Mm-hmm.
Those are guys that I think most people are familiar with. These guys have played on Friday nights, just maybe not gotten the start on paper, but those guys have played critical roles for us and have done a great job, all off season.
I believe you let them come up with the motto, right? Every year?
Yeah.
Okay, so
Within reason. Yeah.
This
I've
year
had to veto a couple.
Did you really?
No.
I was gonna say, let them know is this year's?
I think so, yeah.
So talk to me about the thinking behind that and speak for the kids, I guess.
Yeah, they brought a couple of them to me, and I just said, when they bring them to me, I say, why do you want that? And when I asked them about let them know, they just said that they wanted people to be aware that, the program isn't going to graduate. The program's still going to be here, and we're going to still take pride in it and still show up and be a really tough out on a Friday night, no matter, who we're replacing or what age the guys are or anything else. But they wanted to let people know that the program wasn't going anywhere and that it was in good hands. So I was pretty proud of them for choosing that, and I think it'll age well for us.
I'd be remiss if we didn't get a little bit of family time in here because you have a very short period of time that you get to hang out with Jules and the kids.
Yeah.
What'd you guys do all summer?
It's been crazy busy. We actually went on a vacation together, which was cool.
What?
Yeah, our first one, I think, as a family.
To Canfield.
No, we got down to Myrtle Beach. So
okay. Myrtle Beach.
Yeah, we went
all
for
right.
a week. We went down there, and then we went up to Geneva a couple times this off season, spent some time together, and then kind of once we got back from 4th of July, things got really rolling, and it's been pretty chaotic since, but it's been good though.
So you and I are kind of in the same boat when it comes to the kids and their ages, and what people tell me is enjoy these moments because they go fast.
Yeah.
And do you find yourself taking those snapshots of your kids and the family kind of as a whole from that standpoint that you can hold on to for the rest of your, because you do have a fast-paced life like myself.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think you try to. Obviously, there's times where you get frustrated too. I mean,
No.
we had a debacle last night with David, who lost a tooth. So that was a bit of a problem.
Attaboy.
Yeah. But for the most part, I mean, yeah, you try to take snapshots and just realize how lucky you are to have a family, that supports me and that loves me and with whom, I love those guys and they know that. So, you try to take the good with the bad. Also at the same time, you don't want to take a backseat. You want to be a dad, and you want to stress the important things.
For reference, was the tooth fairy in the 50s this time with the first tooth, or what was it?
I think this one snuck up on the tooth fairy. I think he's probably going to show up tonight.
Love it. Love it. Almost dropped the ball
he's
there.
Not coming? No?
Tooth fairy's not coming?
I think David doesn't want birthday parties and he doesn't want the tooth fairy. So he's kind of boycotted a lot of those things.
Gee, I wonder who he's like.
Yeah, yeah, right.
Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for our football coach, David Rach.
Thanks, buddy.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate you.
Man. Thank you. Sorry. Thank you.